Hi, I'm Erin McGathy, and I like to party. The night that made me question who I am the most in my 20s happened when I was 23. At the time, I was working at a call center, and my first day, I was walking through to my training, and I walked by this guy, Dylan, who looked exactly like David Bowie. He had on a really tight Motley Crue shirt and a huge mullet. I looked at him and I said hi, and he responded with, rock and roll, like David Lee Roth. So on Halloween night, he walks by me at work and asks me if I'm doing anything. I was doing something, but I was like, I want to do whatever your version of Halloween is. So he picks me up in his car. On the way over, he gives me like his life philosophy, which is that he eats one pizza a day and that he shaves every part of his body. And then he said he was a vampire, but he didn't say it with any sort of irony. For a moment, I was like, well, maybe if there was a vampire, it was going to be this guy. So he takes me to the now defunct Key Club for this heavy metal night. We walk in there and he's like, hey, I have to go do something. Just hang out, it's gonna be fine. I don't see him for another 2 hours. It's dark and there are bands playing everywhere and there are people like unironically in cages. I go into the bathroom to wash my hands. I look to my right and Roseanne Barr is there dressed like I am. For a moment, I'm like, am I just imagining Roseanne Barr? And she looks at me and she says, rock and roll in a Roseanne Barr voice, and she leaves. And I walk out and I'm like, I guess I'll just go. Dylan comes up to me and is like, hey, are you ready to go? As if I was off on my own adventure. He's carrying a bottle of whiskey that he has found, and he's a totally different person than the like kind of normalish guy who had driven me there. We just start walking aimlessly down Sunset Boulevard, and he tells me that we can't take a cab because there's this whole underground of reptiles that run the cab company. This thing that you can't even argue with anyone with. I was like, wow, that's awful. I had no idea that taxi drivers were lizard people. We find ourselves behind this group of like beautiful women who all are blonde and all kind of look similar. And he says, let's follow these girls. And I'm like, okay. We follow them into the Roosevelt Hotel. We get in the elevator with them, and they go straight up to the biggest suite at the hotel, the one that's like on the roof. And when we go into the suite, we notice that like all these girls are actually dressed like different versions of Britney Spears. Like there's like Snake Britney Spears and Schoolgirl Britney Spears and the Space Britney Spears, and they are very professional seeming. Like their job is to be beautiful and their job is to be sexy. And then everybody else is a man who looks like he's paid to be there. I'm sure I stuck out like a sore thumb or like a, well, we paid for 20, but I guess she's like a bonus. She's like an in good faith, buy 20 and you'll get a wild card woman with zippers all over her. Dylan just doesn't give two Fs. Again, leaves to go find some booze. So I'm just kind of trying to blend in. I go up the stairs to the roof and I look out and there are all these men lying on these beach chairs, and a couple of them are getting hand jobs, and they're in like different moments of undress. God, what is this thing that I've become a part of? Oh, I've actually walked into hell. I have died, because when my dad was showing me how to ride a bike and my parents told me I could do anything I wanted to, this was not it. This was not where I was supposed to be. I don't want to be this girl in this zipper dress standing on this roof adding to this guy's great night of prostitution. I was just in a daze and like couldn't move until I hear yelling and screaming. I run down the stairs just in time to see Dylan pick up some sort of end table and smash it into a glass table, and see this guy's like screaming like, I'm calling the police. And he's like, whatever. Like nothing had happened. And he was like, you guys gotta stop freaking out. And I was like, Dylan, you smashed this table open. And there are all these girls that are basically naked, like around this broken glass. This guy is screaming for us to get out, obviously. I grab his arm and we walk out of the suite, and I'm looking to his face for some kind of like, wow, well, that was a crazy moment. But there's nothing there. He's just in insane psychopath land. We walk out of the hotel and he gets a call and he's like, come on, we gotta go. We jump in a cab. He has gotten a call from his ex-girlfriend. He's very worried about her because she is a junkie. She's living in this apartment rent-free because she's willing to sleep with the landlord, and also he is giving her heroin. So he's explaining this to me, and I'm like, do I have to go to this? He's like, no, come on. And I feel like I don't really have a choice. We go to this girl's apartment. She was strung out. Her eyes were insane. And she's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. And they kiss hello, and I'm standing there and I'm like, maybe I'm actually invisible. Maybe I am now this person's guardian angel and I don't know it. What is happening? He's like, it's okay, calm down, everything's fine. And they put on America's Funniest Home Videos and they fell asleep on each other, like in an embrace. And then I left. I walked out and I went home and I got into bed. So it was to forget about my night. And I did, until a few weeks later when I had sex with him. But never again after that. That was the only time.